Hi, everybody, and welcome to Yard Goats Hot Stove. I'm Jeff Dooley, joined by Yard Goats third-year manager Chris Denorfia, and welcome back, Chris.
Thanks, Dooley. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you as well. First time that a Yard Goat manager is coming back for a third time, and talk about what you like most about managing in Hartford, Chris.
So is that a good thing?
It is a good thing. For us, it's a good thing.
I just love it here. I think it's going to take one or two things for me to leave, and that's a very, very special offer or the can, one or the
Right.
other. So I appreciate what I have here, and I know how special it is. So it just makes showing up and doing the best job I can that much easier to get to do it here.
Last season was remarkable, set numerous records, the most wins in franchise history. And I think the Rockies recognizing that, not only you coming back, the entire coaching staff is back. And Chris, talk about the culture that you guys have in this clubhouse here in Hartford.
Well, it started from day one. I think no culture can begin in any clubhouse unless we start with our own in the coach's room. And we just kind of clicked right away. Louis was a fantastic addition. He took so much pressure off my plate, and he's so good at what he does that I got to enjoy watching and learning from him. And then Tom and Blaine, they bring their own way of doing things that I got to learn from as well. So, me just kind of staying out of the way was the best thing for everybody, because they were free to be the best version of themselves, and I got to learn from everybody. So once we got that sort of established in that room, and everybody trusted each other, and knowing that nobody was looking over their shoulder, questioning what they were doing, I think that led to just everybody freed up to kind of get on board with a winning message in this clubhouse. And then the players themselves, I think they were definitely picking up what we were putting down at the beginning of the season, the things that we thought were important, and they kind of just ran with it. So to have such a talented group really believe in the winning culture we were trying to establish was fantastic.
4 players from last year's squad go to the big leagues during the same year. And for folks that don't know, that usually doesn't happen at the minor league level. But what a great opportunity for the players in the clubhouse, knowing that the Rockies are going to give you every opportunity to succeed and maybe help them at some point.
Yeah, I've talked about it in the past that every team has a different sort of time horizon, different arc they're on with regards to winning. And right now the Rockies are not afraid to go young. They're not afraid to push their guys and to see what they have at the big league level. So knowing that we're dangling that carrot out in front of you as a player, that if you can play well, if you believe what we're telling you and you get better at this, and this, we're going to move you. You're not going to have to worry about getting stuck at any one level. We really want to get guys to the big leagues as quickly and as, not safely, but as responsibly as we can, because we don't want to put anybody in a situation where they're going to fail. But at the same time, we want to make sure that they're challenged enough. And having opportunities available at the upper levels, that's the challenge. And that's the carrot that, like, hey, get on board with what we're doing, and we're going to move you. And then we actually back that up. So it's a great time to be a minor league player with the Rockies.
Chris, let's talk about the pitch clock a little bit. For those that have watched Yard Goats games, it's been a while. It's been introduced to the minor league level, really strictly enforced the last couple of years. But that being said, now that it's in the major leagues, it's probably here to stay. Do players have to, does it change the fundamentals that you teach in terms of hitting, knowing that they need to be prepared for the entire bat when they go to the box, that you can't step away now between pitches like you always could when maybe you got a pitch that was something that you weren't expecting?
Well, there's challenges, obviously. I mean, we actually spent a couple years trying to get guys to slow down a little bit, to remember to breathe, and we worked on things like that to kind of be able to flush the last pitch and get on to the next one. And what we were trying to do was to kind of control that emotional response you have to what's going on in the batter's box. Now we're asking you to do it a lot quicker. So, the guys that have the short memories, that are like the goldfish, they are the ones that are going to have the easiest time with this. But it's not something that everybody can't learn. So we saw last year, everybody sort of adjusted after a month, and I think you're going to see that again at the big league level. It's going to be a little bit weird, and you're going to see some very unhappy people for a couple weeks, but then eventually everybody's just going to kind of adjust.
Do you think there's an advantage for a hitter or a pitcher with the pitch clock?
I think there can be both ways. And there's so many ways to gain an advantage from it. If as a pitcher you can get the hitter to use his timeout in the first couple pitches, now he's at the mercy of you and the clock for the rest of the time. As a hitter, if you can be ready before the pitcher is, or you can make him step off, or
right.
Any way that you can gain the advantage of those lost opportunities, those lost ways that you can slow the game down. I think it's just ripe for exploitation, and I think we're going to see some cool things happen at the big league level, and as we did here last year.
You told me something last year, Chris, that no manager has said before, and it's so true. It's the impact that you have in your seat as the manager on a player at the minor league level in their career. And we all know the first, second, third round picks, the guys who get the big signing bonuses, they're going to get their bats, they're going to get their innings, but it's those so-called filler guys that sometimes become the best stories when they do make it. Talk about the challenge of being the manager and making sure that these guys do get seen and they get their at-bats that you have to work through the season with.
Yeah, one of the coolest things that I didn't really think it was going to be as big a part of it as it is just getting to know every guy individually, getting to know what makes them tick and just how they're doing, generally speaking, in that day, in that moment, because it has an effect on their play. Is he struggling at home, or is he doing great? Is his girlfriend in town, or his parents going to be here? Any little bit of information that I can use to make their lives a little bit better. If your parents are going to be in town next weekend, and I want to know it because I want to make sure you're in that lineup. That's if right. I can get you in there. The little things like that, I know I'm going to get the best out of the guy if properly motivated. So it just, and the byproduct of that is the great relationships I get to form with the players. And to your beginning part of your question, you never really know what you're going to say and the impact it's going to have, and whether or not it's going to carry forward. Like, I can tell people that have had a big effect on my life, ex-coaches or ex-teammates, and I'll say, you remember you told me this, and they have no recollection of it whatsoever, but it was like a foundational thing for me as a player. So you never really know the impact one sentence you say could have on a player or a teammate or a colleague. So it kind of makes it fun. It's another way that I get to enjoy what I do is just to kind of mix it up with the guys, to get to know them, and then just be myself. And hopefully they can take one or two things that I say in the year full of garbage that spews out of my mouth, and maybe I can have a positive effect on their career or their life.
Well, you've got that credibility because you play Major League Baseball. How many times do you sit a guy down and say, listen, you've obviously went through the minors, you got to the major leagues, this is what you need to do to have this happen to you. Does this happen during the course of the season?
Not quite like that. Nobody really likes to hear, you should do it exactly how I did
right.
it or something like that. But people ask me that every year. Does the fact that I played in the big leagues matter? And I've said no, not really, but I think it does a little bit.
I think it might to the kids.
I think it does a little bit. The more I do this, this is a hard thing, and it doesn't get any easier the higher up you get. So when somebody has done it at that level where, I couldn't fathom the big leagues when I was in AA. I couldn't. I wanted to be there, and I worked my butt off to get there, but I couldn't fathom it. So whenever there was a guy who had been there, I always looked at him with like a little bit wide-eyed. So, do I think that because I played, they should listen to me? No. I regardless of how long I played in the big leagues, I still have to get to know them. I still have to be the type of person that they want to listen to. And whether or not I was in the big leagues, that part will never affect the message I'm trying to bring, because if they don't like me, if they don't, and I'm not saying I only do this to be liked, but if they can't relate to me, then I'm not going to have an effective message. So I'm growing in that
Sure.
in that answer where I think it matters, but not so much so that I can just sort of sit back and say, well, I played in the big leagues, so they should listen to me. I still have to go to work doing the hard stuff, and just really diving into each guy individually.
I've always been amazed that you and your coaches out there at noontime, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, grinding. And, I don't think fans sometimes realize the players are here, and so much work is done before the game even begins. That's how you get better, right?
Well, and for us, that's the fun stuff. I mean, at 7 o'clock, we're just watching for the most part. I have to make a call here or there, but I'm a fan like everybody else, and I'm really just pulling for my guys at that point, trying to put them in a situation where I hope they can succeed. But the fun stuff for us is that stuff that nobody sees. That watching the guys put in the work, watching the guys, come up with questions or conversations, or listening to talk to us or amongst themselves. That's the good stuff. The messing around in the clubhouses, whether it's in here or just me with my coaching staff, or that's the good stuff. That's the stuff that we remember. You remember your games you played in certain at bats, but generally speaking, you remember your life as a baseball player, and most of your life happens in this room, or for me now in that room, or out in the fields when we're in shorts and a t-shirt and nobody's watching.
And in closing, Chris, last question. What are you looking forward the most for 2023?
I just more of this life, more of coming to this ballpark every day and walking through the door with a smile on my face, and seeing the people that work here and that just love us and love what they do at this park, and watching the guys come in hungry as ever and tired and grinding, and the coaches doing the same. And it's just, I enjoy my life doing this, and I'm lucky to get to do something that I enjoy so much every day.
Great stuff, Chris. Appreciate the time, and good luck at spring training. We'll see you just about a couple of months away.
All right, thank you.
All right, Chris Denorfia joining us on Yard Goats Hot Stone. Thanks for watching, everybody.